Hello students, welcome back to my channel. This is Vidyasagar Mugi. Today I am going to discuss on the fourth module, that is centroid. Now before we start with what is centroid, let us understand what is center of gravity. So center of gravity is defined as a point through which a whole weight of the body acts or assumed to be concentrated about that particular point. Now for example, if I consider this object, now what is the shape of this object? So the shape of the object, most of you will say that this is rectangle, but actually this is not rectangle, it is cuboid, right? Because this is having all the three sides, right? So we cannot neglect the thickness here. So this is length, width and thickness. So I'll call this as cuboid. Now where should I hold this object, or I should balance this object with one finger such that the weight of this object is balanced only on one finger. Where should I hold that? So is it possible if I hold it from this point? Not possible. So is it possible if I hold it from this point? Not possible. So I should hold it somewhere exactly at the center of the object such that I can balance this object with one finger, right? So that point is where the weight of the complete object is supposed to be acting, right? So that point we call it as the center of gravity, where the weight of the complete object is acting about a single point. So that point is called as the center of gravity. Now every object has only one center of gravity, right? Only one center of gravity, and that center of gravity we denote it by Cg or just G. Suppose if this is a rectangular object, so the midpoint of this object I'll denote it as G. So as I said, there is only one Cg for any position of the body. It refers to the bodies with mass or weight. The meaning is, if I place it object like this or like this or like this way or this way, the Cg of the object will remain the same and it is only one for the object, right? So this is about center of gravity. So center of gravity is how we define it. We define it as a point through which the whole weight of the body acts or assumed to be concentrated. So it refers to the body with what? Mass and weight. That means this refers to the three-dimensional objects. It refers to three-dimensional objects. Now next comes centroid. Now the difference between center of gravity and centroid is, now if I consider this object, then I should define as center of gravity because I am dealing with the three-dimensional object. Now, so instead of that, if I take this thin sheet of paper, now compared to its length and width, the thickness can be neglected. See the thickness, it is very small if you compare its length and width. So while defining or locating the midpoint of such objects, plane areas, we consider or term that midpoint as, again denoted as G, but this is called as centroid. Right. Now how do I refer centroid as? Centroid is related to the location of the midpoint of the plane areas, or it is a geometrical center of the plane areas. It is also called a geometrical center of the plane areas. Now for example, before that I'll define centroid of an area is a point at which the whole area of the plane figure is assumed to be concentrated. You have to focus on this. Centroid of an area is a point at which the whole area of the plane figure is assumed to be concentrated. Now these are termed as the plane figures. Or you can take a sheet of paper, that is also referred as a plane figures. Now when I say what is the shape of the book, and in order to rotate a book, where do you hold it? You hold it at the midpoint. So book here is referred as a cuboidal, where we locate its center of gravity. Whereas if you take only a piece of paper, then it is referred to as centroid. Right. Now in order to locate the centroid of the rectangular part, what you will do? How will you locate that? I'll draw the diagonals. Now wherever the diagonals intersect, that point is called as the geometrical midpoint, or it is called as the centroid. So what are the different shapes we have? So it is rectangle, triangle, square, circle. Right, so these are the four basic shapes which we know, and whose centroid can be located very easily. Right, centroid can be located very easily. Now as I said, centroid is the geometrical center of the object. Now if I say this is a rectangle, and if I draw a diagonal for this, now wherever the diagonal intersects, that point is termed as what? It is termed as centroid. Now mathematically, how will you locate this point? Mathematically, if I want to locate, I'll draw the axis for that, and if I call this as B, and if I call this as D, then the location of this point from this side is denoted with what? Total depth divided by 2. The location of this point from this end is denoted mathematically as B by 2. Right, so this is mathematical representation of this point. So centroid again is denoted as G, and centroid and center of gravity acting are at same point. Right, so the centroid and center of gravity both are acting about the same point. Only difference is with center of gravity we deal with mass or weight, whereas for centroid we deal with the plane areas. Right, so that means the thickness is equal to 1 or weight mass is not considered. So this is the representation how we do. G represents the centroid, this is the x-axis, and this is y-axis. Now hope you are clear with what is center of gravity and what is centroid. Now moving on to the next. Now next comes something called as axis of reference. Now this axis of reference is very important when you are dealing with the centroid problems. So before I explain you what is axis of reference, just look at this figure, this one. Now we have three axes here, x, y and z. Right, so this is a classroom, so consider this as a room now. Now in this room I have one object which is suspended freely, or it is hanging in the air. Now if you want to locate what is the position of this object, or suppose say you are standing here, and you want to convey to your friend over a phone and make him understand where is this object without letting him see this object. How will you tell him? You are talking to your friend over a phone and you are explaining him where is this object in this room, particular room. How will you explain? So we take reference of some of the walls, floors, right? So these references what we take in order to locate this object is what are called as the reference axis. Right, suppose now this is a wall. Now in order to locate what is the length of this object from this end, what I'll do is I'll measure, because wall is not going to be moved, so I'll measure from this wall to the center of the object. So I'll get what? The coordinate in x-axis. Similarly what I'll do, I'll measure the distance from this wall, and what I'll get the distance in z axis. Similarly, I'll measure the height of the object from ground. What I'll get? I'll get the value h. So if you get what is L, B and h, you can tell your friend over a phone. So length from this wall is this, then width from this wall is this, height from this floor is the height. So when you give these three coordinates, when he comes tomorrow and he measures that, he will locate the position of the object. So that is how you locate centroid. So the importance of axis of reference is, so centroid of the body is always calculated with the reference to some assumed axis, and that assumed axis is known as what? Axis of reference. Now for example, this is a rectangular shape. So the axis, it has its own x-axis and y-axis. So from this point, that is, I'll call this as G, I need to locate what is the distance of this point from some reference axis. So this reference axis is this. I'll call this as capital Y and I'll call this as capital X. So from this Y, whatever distance I measure is in horizontal distance. Whatever distance I measure from y-axis is the horizontal distance. Whatever distance I measure from x-axis is the vertical distance of the object. Now this distance or the length of the center from reference axis with respect to y-axis is taken as the horizontal distance, and that is denoted with x bar. It is denoted as x bar. And similarly, the position or the length of the center from x-axis is denoted as y bar. So x bar is with respect to y-axis, y bar is with respect to x-axis, right? Now one thing you have to remember here is the axis of reference plays a very important role, because the values of x bar and y bar are not constant. Means these values are dependent on where you take the axis of reference, right? Where you take the axis of reference. How? I'll let you know now. Now we know that this is the coordinate system: x, y, x bar, y bar. Now x, y, and we have how many quadrants? We have 4 quadrants. So first quadrant is what? Positive, positive. Second quadrant is negative, positive. Third quadrant is negative, negative. Fourth quadrant is positive, negative. Now if I place the object, or if I choose a reference axis with respect to the first quadrant, that is, if I choose a reference axis such that the object is falling in first quadrant. So the advantage what I will be having here is, one thing is I'll be getting the values of x bar and y bar as positive values. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to take it as first quadrant only. It depends on your convenience, but what I suggest is you always take the object in the first quadrant. The reason is you'll get the value of x bar and y bar as positive values. Now if we similarly look at the other quadrants, now this is second quadrant. Now what will be the value of x bar and y bar here? So x bar is x dash here, so value of x bar will be negative and y bar will be positive if you take in second quadrant. Similarly, if you take in third quadrant, what will be the values of x bar and y bar? It will be negative and negative. Similarly, if you take in fourth quadrant, it will be what? X bar will be positive, y bar will be negative, right? So in order to avoid these problems of negative and positive signs where the chances of getting confusion are more, so what I always suggest is you always mark the reference axis with respect to the first quadrant, so that you will get values of x bar and y bar as positive. Where you will face this problem is when we take up problems on cut sections or hollow sections, where you are supposed to deduct the areas. So that time you are subtracting the total area with the deducted area. So that time there will be subtraction sign, negative signs. So that time you get confused and you will end up with wrong solutions. To avoid that, I suggest is you take the reference axis with respect to the first quadrant. So this is about the reference axis. Hope you followed up till here. Now moving to the next. Now mathematically, how will we calculate the mathematical relation for centroid in X bar and centroid in Y bar. What you see in front of you is the irregular shaped plane figure in which I have divided that figure into 4 parts. This is first, second, third and fourth. So when I divide this in different shapes, so the center of gravity or centroid of the object is not same for all the 4, right? It differs with respect to the shape of the object. Now this is somewhat some other shape, this is one shape, this is one shape, this is one shape. So I'll mark the centroid of all these four objects as G1, G2, G3, G4. Why I have used small g? Because capital G indicates the centroid of the complete figure. Now in order to locate what is the centroid of this complete figure, I need to cut down those figures into smaller sections. So when I take a cumulative of this, I'll get what is the total value of G, right? So this small g1 is the centroid of this first element. Now I have taken the reference axis, this is y and this is x. Now the centroid of the first object with respect to y-axis and x-axis I have marked as x1 and y1. Similarly for second object it is x2, y2, third object x3, y3, fourth object x4 and y4. Now this x bar and y bar represents what? X bar and y bar represents the centroid of the complete figure, whereas x1, x2, x3, x4, y1, y2, y3, y4 represents the centroid of these smaller areas within the element, right? Now statements, okay. Figure shows the total area, so total area I will denote it as capital A, and unit thickness. Unit thickness means since I am dealing with centroid, so thickness of this object is considered as 1. Let capital G be the CG of the whole area. CG here stands for again centroid. So from now on I will be using the term centroid because we are dealing only with the plane areas. So dividing this area A, that is capital A, into small areas. So small areas I will denote them as small a1, a2, a3, a4 with the centroids G1, G2, G3, G4 respectively. Now let x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, x4, y4 are what? They are the coordinates of these G1, G2, G3 and G4. Whereas capital G, x bar, y bar are the coordinates of what? The main element. Right? So before I start with this derivation, I ask everyone to please take a notebook in your hand or a paper, pen, whatever it is, and try to solve this derivation along with me so that it will be easy for you to understand. Now the statements are understood, you have understood what is the figure. Now therefore I know that total area is what? It is A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4. So if I add all this area, what I'll get? I'll get the total area. So can I write capital A as summation A? Okay, capital A can I write as summation A? Yeah, summation A is what? Capital A. So I'll mark this as equation 1. Now using theorem of moments, so total moment of area A about OY axis. Now total moment of area about OY axis is what? I'll call this origin as O, and this is OY axis, and this is OX axis, right? Now I have explained you how to take the moment. So moment is nothing but it is defined as moment is equal to what? Force into perpendicular distance. So this I had explained in one of my previous video. So that was while explaining super elevation. You can have a look. So moment is equal to what? Force into perpendicular distance. Since we are dealing with areas, so here force is taken as what? Area. into their perpendicular distance. Now when I say I am taking a moment of area about OY axis. Now which is OY axis? OY axis is this. Now OY axis, with respect to this, how is the rotation of this element about this axis? It will rotate clockwise like this. Now this is area is A. What is its perpendicular distance from OY axis? Area is A1, small a1, into the perpendicular distance of this is what? X1. Similarly for A2 it is X2, A3 is X3, A4 is X4. So the perpendicular distance, what I'll give as A1 X1 and A2 X2. So when I said total moment of area means what? Total moment of area is what? Capital A. Total moment of area is capital A. So total area is capital A. So total area A and that its perpendicular distance with respect to OY axis is what? X bar. Total area and its perpendicular distance with respect to OY is what? X bar. So it is A into X bar. So that will be equal to what? I'll write that as capital A is what? We have already calculated, is written as summation A into X bar. So mark this as equation 2. Now sum of moments of all the areas about OY axis will be. Now what we did here, this was the moment of the total area, that is capital A. Now in the same way, all these small areas will also develop some moment. Moment is nothing but the rotation caused. So this small area will cause moment or rotation about OY axis in what magnitude? Small a1 into x1, small a2 into x2, small a3 into x3, small a4 into x4, right? So that moment caused is what? It is m is equal to small a1 into x1 plus small a2 into x2 plus a3 into x3 plus a4 into x4. So this a1, a2, a3, a4 means what? They are what? Summation A. x1, x2, x3 are what? Summation x. So that I'll write as equation 3. Now doing this, so from equation 2 and 3, so what is equation 2? Equation 2 is equal to what? It is A into x bar equal to summation A into x bar. This is equation 2, and equation 3 is summation A into x, right? Now this is equation 3. So what I'll do is I'll equating total area, that is equation 2 and equation 3. So equation 2 stands for what? The moment of total area, and equation 3 stands for moment of sum of those small areas. So summation A into x bar is what? A into x bar is what? It is moment of total area. That I'll equate with what? Summation A into x. Summation A into x. So summation A into x bar is equal to what? Summation A into x, where summation A into x bar stands for total moment of area. This stands for sum of small areas. So what is my concern here? To find x bar. So x bar will be what? This is x bar. So that will be what? Sum of summation A into x divided by summation A. So this is the mathematical value of finding what? The value of x bar, that is sum of A into x divided by summation A. Now this was when I found out x bar value with respect to what? X bar value with respect to I found out what is value of x bar by taking moment about what? OY, or taking this reference axis. In order to get y bar, what should be the reference axis I should take? It is OX. I should take reference axis OX. So when I take reference axis OX, what will be the moment of total area? It will be total area is capital A, and moment of that total area with respect to OX axis will be what? A into y bar. A into y bar. Then sum of moment of small areas will be what? A1 into y1, A2 into y2, A3 into y3, A4 into y4. Again equate that. So in all these places this will be OX. Here it will be, in place of x it will be y. Similarly here in place of x it will be y. Again you have to equate that, and you will get what? Value of y bar. So value of y bar will be what? Similarly with respect to x axis, y bar is given by summation a into y divided by what? Summation a. So in place of x you have to replace that with y. So value of x bar and y bar are what? X bar is summation a into x divided by summation a, y bar is summation a into y divided by summation a. I hope you followed this. Any doubt up till now regarding centroid, please feel free to ask. So this is all about today. Any doubts, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.